Howdy folks, and welcome to another Taste of Gameplay video, this time for the European Tier 4 Tech Tree, but currently sort of premium-ish early access battleship, the Yavuz, or the full name, the Yavuz Sultan Selim. Apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly. So, I figured when in Rome, drive the new European Tier 4 battleship. We are in the Yavuz era, so I may as well play the Yavuz. There are 6 of them in this game, 3 on each team. I'm somewhat familiar now with what it's like to play against the Yavuz, so I figured, hey, let's give this bad boy a shot. And the verdict is, yeah, it's fun. It's a good ship. It is very spiritually similar to the Tegetov, which I played just the other day, and that makes perfect sense because they come from the same design cloth. So what you're getting here relative to other tier 4 battleships, and it is very important. By the way, let me just a little tangent here. I'm playing somewhat conservatively because my destroyer there, that DD-214, which by the way is basically just a Clemson, he took forever to load into the game, which I don't necessarily fault him for. You would think that taking forever to load into the game would be an artifact of having a slow computer. And sometimes I'm sure it is, but I have a couple clanmates that complain endlessly that it takes them forever to load into the game, despite the fact that they have very nice, very modern computers. So I try not to be too hard on people when they take a while to load in, but it does mean that, you know, I can't just plunge directly into combat. Unlike that Dunedin, which was a bot, so not much you can do about that. But he just, I do sometimes wish you could send commands to the bots. You know, you could like just ping the map or something and just be like, "Hey, don't do what you're about to do." But anyway, I guess that would get confusing. So yeah, back to the Yavuz. It is, I think the word I would use to describe the Yavuz is usable. It feels like a very usable ship, like a very flexible, usable battleship, which is particularly valuable, I would say, at tier 4, where a lot of ships are just really hard to use. Like, they might even have some advantages, you know, like the Gangut with its incredible armor, or some of the ships that have these really huge, high caliber guns, but they often, for various reasons, feel really difficult to use. Like they'll be slow, or they have terrible turning radiuses, or rudder shift, or all of the above. With the Yavuz, what you're getting is some sacrifices, definitely some sacrifices, as this poor Clemson is. I guess this is just not this guy's day. Yeah, you can't do that, buddy. You're going to get torped by this bot. Yeah, that's what happens. So I'm going to have to abandon this flank a little bit and play a kind of retreating, kiting game, which is fortunately something that the Yavuz seems to be pretty good at. So again, focus. I got to focus up. So the Yavuz, what are you giving up and what are you getting? Well, one big thing you're giving up is the guns. They're all right-ish, but they just don't have enormous impact. They don't have great penetration. In fact, it's kind of bad. It's not as bad as the Ishizuchi, which I played the other day, but compared to most tier 4 battleships, it's not good, especially the AP. Even the HE only has 47 millimeters of pen, which is okay and definitely enough for cruisers and destroyers and certain areas of battleships, but you will shatter the HE, and the AP is just unreliable. I mean, against cruisers, it's probably fine, but against battleships, you're going to struggle. So HE it is. It gets a lot of guns. It gets 10 guns, but they're in this very odd layout. The lower tiers are fun because they have these custom layouts for these battleships in particular, and this one is exceptionally odd because the angles. So the angles for, I believe, the 1, 4, and 5 guns are relatively straightforward. You know, they just have an arc that they can shoot through. But if you look at the physical construction of the ship, the second and third turrets in the middle are in odd asymmetric placements, and they have various parts of the ship, you can really see it right now, where they're obscured, and those places aren't even contiguous. So the second and third turret kind of come and go as you turn, which is kind of hard to keep track of and ends up causing you to want to kind of wiggle around, to go just slightly back and forth. I'm not talking about the kind of wiggle that comes when the guns are oriented or laid out all around the ship. I'm just talking about a more like just you're roughly broadside, but you're wiggling back and forth to get that second and third turret to fire. There are some angles where all 5 guns will fire, but there's not very many of them. It's kind of sensitive, which is, I mean, honestly, it's kind of fun. A little bit of a game there. You know, I mean, this is a game, right? So interesting and complex decisions aren't necessarily a bad thing. If everything was easy, it wouldn't be a very fun game. Yeah, so what you're getting in return for these kind of awkward, poor, slightly underpowered guns is just more usability. This ship has vastly improved maneuverability characteristics compared to most Tier 4 battleships. It's got a top speed of 27 knots, which is not world beating, but is way more usable than like the 18 to 20 that some of these battleships have. It has just a much better feeling rudder shift. I didn't look it up, but it just anecdotally, it feels much more maneuverable. It's kind of in between a cruiser and a battleship. So I guess it's sort of that battle cruiser idea, except it's not really a battle cruiser, because usually with a battle cruiser, you have poor armor and really good guns, whereas this is kind of the opposite. It has pretty good armor and sort of mediocre guns. You do get these torpedoes, and they're in a more traditional and possibly more useful layout than the Tegetov. They're basically just 2 double launchers to each side of the front of the ship, I believe. I think I have that right. Still, I don't know that you're going to hit a lot of things with these torpedoes, but hey, you know, I mean, it's useful. I don't know what it is about destroyers charging me. Here you see the poor dispersion, which, I mean, you know, this is just the thing with battleships at Tier 4, but it's definitely true of the Yavuz as well. I mean, I just missed every single shell at 4 kilometers. Granted, he was maneuvering, but I think a lot of that was just dispersion, just battleship dispersion. But that's okay. Again, I mean, you know, you don't want an overpowered ship. Like, I don't want a ship that's good at everything, because then everyone would just play that ship all the time. The Yavuz is not good at everything, but it is good at enough things to be fun and playable. And it has more of a feeling of a traditional Tier 8 to 10 battleship than like the old school Tier 4 style battleships. It doesn't feel like it's so clumsy and slow. It has more of a modern feel, for better or for worse. I think mostly for better. I guess the worst part is, I mean, it's hard to imagine. Like, I would say this is not as good as the Nikolai, because the Nikolai's guns are just so incredibly good, and the guns here are not. But it is better than, I can't think of another Tier 4 battleship I'd rather play than the Yavuz. And I have a feeling if you learn a little more and practice with the guns, then they get more useful. I think you just would need to memorize all of the different characteristics and practice with using this against battleships in particular. I mean, at short ranges, you're still going to penetrate people. They are still battleship caliber guns. I think they're 283s. So, you know, it's not like they're terrible or unusable. And you do get 10 of them. So even though the dispersion's not great, the range is really good. That's another thing. Like, the range on the Nikolai is not great. The range here is 16.3. Got a little garbage time evisceration of that destroyer. So yeah, I mean, I think the Yavuz is fun. I think it's a good game design direction for the game. It's just more usable and fun to play than a lot of other Tier 4 battleships, and I'm glad I got to give it a shot. I think I'll probably try it again. I can see why so many new people are playing it right now. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next video.